the recording to be, oh, there we go, now it started.
Okay, so thank you everyone for coming tonight. We're at the Director Candidate Information session. We have people in person and remotely, so welcome and thank you for taking time out of your precious day to learn a little bit about SaskU, so thank you. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that we are on the unceded territory of the Secwépemc people. And to do a little bit of introductions, in the room, we have Julia Payne with SaskU, Barry Delaney with SaskU, Stephen and myself who are board members, and we have Constance Liddell in person and Curtis Slingerland remotely. So welcome everybody. The next slide there, Julia, there. So again, Stephen and I are on the nominating committee. We also want to acknowledge Ken and Tanji who aren't here, but they're on the nominating committee as well. Number 4. So a little bit about SaskU. SaskU was founded in Salmon Arm in 1946, having grown to now 5 locations. We are in Sicamous and Enderby and Salmon Arm and Sorrento, and we serve the whole Shuswap. We are owned by nearly 20,000 members with assets of over 1 billion and 150 employees, and proud to be among one of the top credit unions in all of Canada. Also, a little bit of tidbit is that SaskU was founded by apple orchardists. It was an agricultural start of a co-op, and so that's the founding of SaskU. So SaskU is composed of 9 directors with 3 positions to be filled annually. So we have 3 positions that come due every single year for a 3-year term. In my understanding, I think you're allowed to run 4 consecutive terms, and after that you need to take a break. And so for this election cycle, we've identified the following skills and competencies as legal, regulatory, and compliance, as well as digital and technology experience. So tonight we're going to be reviewing this is the agenda. So we're reviewing a bit of the election cycle, the candidate packages, key dates, recommendations and processes, talking about AGM, talking about our cycle, board schedule, and the benefits of being a director, and then any questions and answers at the end. So election cycle, so we are in the election cycle for 2025. The application packages are out and the information packages, and the due date is April 14th. No, not April, January 14th. I'm not sure where April came. And that, and then I'll throw the next slides to Stephen, and he'll review the next few slides.
Okay, so key dates. There are some very important dates that everyone needs to be aware of. So first is the nominating period, which we are in the middle of right now, or coming towards the end of, which ran December 2nd until January 14th. That's the period to submit your application to join. Information session is tonight. Interviews, once the nominating period is completed, interviews will be scheduled on January 21st and 22nd. And then by January 24th, the nominating committee will review the applications and inform the candidates that have been selected for recommendation or not. At that point, the applicants will have until January 27th to determine if they wish to withdraw, and at which point anybody remaining after that will go forward into the election. The election period will be March 24th to April 5th, and at which point in time the successful candidates would be elected and brought onto the board on May 6th. Okay. So a little bit more detail on the election cycle and recommendations. So any member that's in good standing and meets these criteria, which is outlined in the applicant package or candidate package, can be go forth through election. The nominating committee, though, and on behalf of the board, does review applicants and provide recommendation to members. And based on that recommendation, some people may choose to or not to continue to run. So January, the completed candidate application forms are completed. A self-assessment is done. So basically the candidate would assess their competency in the key competency areas that have been identified for the board. As mentioned, there's an interview with our two members of our nominating committee. At which point in time, the committee then makes an assessment and decision for the recommendation of the candidates. They may recommend all of the candidates, they might recommend none of the candidates. It is a wide open decision there. After the opportunity to withdraw, candidate videos are completed and they will be prepared by SASCU with staff's help, where you will get a chance to introduce yourself, be given a set of questions to speak to help introduce yourself to the members. And that will roll out into the election material that goes out, which again will, based on the previous dates, will be in March and April before the election is completed. Meeting schedule. So first one to be aware of, May 6th is kind of a really critical date, which is why we're highlighting it. There's the annual general meeting. So that's the date that the newly elected board members actually become board members. There's then a board organizational meeting with lunch and following a proper formal board meeting. This goes over all the things of just an orientation into the organization as a whole, getting to know about SASCU, what's going on, the current issues, all of those kind of things. Really a helpful session, as well as the business of the board as well. Other important dates, May 13th is a director orientation, which is a session with our corporate secretary to help just get everyone familiar with the board and the processes, the systems and tools that we have. Just helps you to be ready to be very effective from day one. And then the other big one is our annual planning session, which is scheduled for May 28th to 30th, which is an offsite, which we've got at Sparkling Hills this year. And that's a chance for the board as well as our leadership team from SASCU to get together and look at the big planning and strategic issues for the coming year. Really a great, valuable session there. We do strongly encourage that all board members find a way to be able to attend there. So, if you're interested in applying for the board, please make sure that you reserve that in your calendar in advance. Okay, a little bit on the credit union structure. The two pieces to highlight first is on the left side there, you'll see the Financial Institutions Act. These are the acts and the regulatory frameworks that create the environment that SASCU and all credit unions operate within. These are our government regulators. These are our rule givers. Beneath that then is our own SASCU rules, the board of directors, our policies. This is our internal governance structure that is subject to the legislation that we have to follow. And then beneath that, or contained within that then, are all of the committees that we have of the board. So we have a variety of committees that you'll see listed there that cover off everything from nominating to managing the risks of the organization. When we think about the director cycle, fairly straightforward. Starts with getting appointed as a director, going through your orientation and onboarding. There's significant training that's available to help new directors get on board and feel comfortable and confident with what their obligations are, feeling comfortable about the right kind of questions and engagements to be involved in, and just contributing as a new director. From there, it's into the engagement phase, and it's using the training, your own experience and perspectives, and contributing to the board, helping to assist in the evolution of the organization, giving strategic vision and oversight. And through that, you'll continue to go through ongoing education and development, continue to develop your own skills, helping to build your perspective and just being a more effective director. This was into leadership. This can be exhibited in a variety of ways, but one of the things that we like to do is give everyone continued opportunities to show leadership within the board. So leadership on committees, so chairing committees and having different roles within the board. And then we also have a time of evaluation. So self-reflection. It's not just that we evaluate the organization, but we evaluate ourselves and how we perform both individually and as a shared board of directors. And eventually, even the most happy, successful, content director eventually reaches a term limit and will exit the cycle through departure. And so that's the cycle. And it's not necessarily always linear, but it is the general concept of the cycle of director life cycle. So moving on, next we have our board schedule. So there are board and committee meetings. So the board meetings are quarterly currently. This is a bit of an experiment that's been going on for a little while now, but that is something that could change in time. And currently is scheduled as the fourth Tuesday at 5:30. They run in the evenings. There's typically a food prepared and available, and they'll run for 2.5, 3 hours, depending on what's going on. In addition, there are committees. Directors can be on anywhere from 2 to 3 committees. The committees also meet quarterly, and the meetings are typically on Tuesdays or Thursdays, again, typically at 5:30 in the evenings. This is meant to keep it accessible for people in different work schedules and life schedules. But there is, opportunity for discussion and collaboration to find dates and times that work for people. Some of the other things that are ongoing throughout the year are peer group meetings. So we have collaborative meetings with other credit unions, so we can have shared experiences, shared learnings, and as we often have very similar experiences that we can learn from. There's also opportunity for conferences, the credit union day, community events, those kind of things. And so with that being said, a quick note on time commitment. Being on a board and being able to contribute strongly does require a meaningful time commitment. And you need to be clear as a candidate about the commitment that it takes to be on the board, whether that's reading and responding to emails, reviewing the materials before a board meeting, being present in the board meetings themselves or committee meetings so that you are able to provide your perspective in an active and constructive format. And so all of that can be quite significant. It varies a bit depending on how quickly people process information, but be prepared. It is a meaningful commitment of time for each of them. I would say probably many people find that whatever time is in the meeting, they're spending at least as much time in advance of the meeting preparing for the meeting. So if it's a 2.5 hour meeting, you're spending at least that much time in advance preparing for that meeting. Okay. So we've just talked about sort of the hard work of being a director, but there's also some really great benefits of being a director. First off, there's some great training and learning that's available. There's through the CCUA, so the Canadian Credit Union Association. There's education programs to help educate you on both your responsibilities, as well as some great tools on how to be an effective board of director member, but also just general skills that can be help you in terms of strategic thinking, financial understanding, and how to just collaborate as part of a team. So providing those learning opportunities is one really great advantage. Being a part of a really well-established organization also helps to give you a great perspective that will help you if you're involved in other organizations in the community and and help to share the learnings and information that you get here with other parts of the community, which is really great. And we do have a really awesome team of leaders within the organization, and I find it's always great working with great people. As well, it is a lot of work, and we don't expect you to do that for free. So there is remuneration. So there are meeting allowances, per diems, and mileage that are available based on the work that goes into it. So we don't expect you to work for free. We're a for community organization, but we that doesn't mean we're not for profit. Okay. Questions and answers.
Yes, just a couple of things before we move into that. Just want to highlight a couple of things is that, like Stephen said, Tuesdays are really important in Saskia world. So most of the meetings always happen on Tuesday evening, so be mindful of that. I'd say the other thing, we just approved our new strategic plan. So it's a really exciting time at Saskia of implementing our new strategic plan that sets the direction for the organization for the next 3+ years. The other thing I would say is, I'd also say, like, if you are putting your package in, because that's due January 14th at 11:59 p.m. So that's the due time, that's the due date. Just know that if you do put your application in and you're coming for an interview, please bring your questions. We want you to feel fully comfortable and briefed. So again, we'll be asking questions, but please bring your questions as well, because we want no surprises of, oh, I didn't expect that. So please bring that. And then a couple of things before we move into question and answer. I'm going to get Barry in a few seconds to say a few things, but just kind of like why did myself or Stephen join the board? I think that's important of the why. Why I joined the board is that I wanted to give back to community. I've been on numerous provincial and local boards for years. I've never been on a financial institution or a credit union board, so it was a new challenge for me. Also, I grew up on the prairies where co-ops and credit unions were founded, and my dad sat on a credit union board, and so did my aunt. So it was a bit of fulfilling my family's legacy. And maybe, Stephen, do you want to share why you joined the credit union board?
Sure. I joined the credit union board because of a couple of reasons. One, I'm a finance professional, and so I've got a good depth of experience, and so I saw it as an opportunity to contribute and give back to the community and this great community organization of Saskia. But then also I saw an opportunity to help build my skills, as I'm involved in a number of different community groups within our community. And this was going to be a great way to help build my skills to help other groups within our community and help leverage the great learning here to help others. So it was those two things that really drove me to joining the board.
Great. And Barry, our excellent CEO, do you have any other words that you'd like to share with people thinking of running for the Saskia board?
Yes, I would encourage, if you're thinking about it, then we want you. It means you're community minded. It means you're already thinking about altruism and community impact. I love the fact that a credit union board takes people from the community who live, play, and work here, and they want to contribute to a local financial institution whose head office is in Salmon, where decisions are made in Salmon, where the budgets and all of the leadership is in Salmon. And so where do you get a chance to do that? You certainly can't do that with the chartered banks. We've spoken well to the benefits of being a director, but I think the company benefits so much by having these local directors who are overseeing the governance and operations of the board. Our legislation prohibits members being on the board who come from banks or come from financial services. Legislation wants directors who come from a variety of industries, which makes the conversation so much more rich in the boardroom. So please, if you're listening to this at home or at work, submit your application.
So thank you again for taking your time to listen to this presentation and see our PowerPoint. We're going to stop the recording now and we can do some questions and answers of people that are in attendance.